Hey everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes. I'm Natalie McFarland, founder and president of McFarland Productions, director at Off Your Rocker Films, and your host. In these episodes, you can expect deleted scenes, in-depth campaign reviews, project highlights, marketing concepts, book reviews, and a deep dive into the creative process at Off Your Rocker Films. We'll also be covering invaluable lessons on mentorship, leadership, and the business of it all. We are so excited to be releasing our episodes every Sunday as your soft launch to Monday. Hey everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes, your soft launch to Monday. This is part 3 in our creative process series. This is goal determination. If you didn't watch January and February's episodes for the first 2 pieces of this series for the creative process, you should stop listening to me. Go back a couple of months and listen to those. It's the last episode of the month every month through the rest of this year. So today we're talking goal determination as it applies to the creative process, which is step 3 in our process. Ryan, you started a great framework for this, and I think we start there. I'm just going to let you take off with it.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. When I was thinking about kind of what I want to talk about on this episode, I kind of stumbled onto the cliche of who, what, when, where, and why, which I know has been used multiple times. But for this, I have a couple follow-ups with those specific phrases, right? So first off, who is going to watch the video, right? We want to be able to put ourselves in the shoes of the viewer and understand who's watching the video. When are they watching the video? And this can be when as a broader scale, like when throughout the year, are they watching it in the winter or in the summer? And also if there's going to be some sort of event like a showing, or is it going live at a certain time, or is this just getting posted and can be watched anytime whenever they feel like it? What, we skipped what problem are we solving? Right, we already talked about that in those earlier episodes that Natalie mentions. This will make a lot more sense if you go listen to those. Who, what, when are they watching it? Where are they watching it? Are they going to be watching this on the couch at home or in a theater somewhere with a bunch of other people by themselves with headphones on, through loudspeakers, right?
Rolling down the highway on a cell phone, not while they're driving, as a passenger, for clarity.
Through the radio, maybe, while they're listening
maybe
to
it's
it, right?
radio, yep.
Right. And then finally, why are they watching it, right? Are they part of the group that wants to solve the problem as well, or are they getting the problem solved for them? There's so many different reasons why they could be watching it, and you have to realize why they are watching it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that framework, the who, what, where, when, why, as cliche as you mentioned as it is, right, is like a really great basis for determining what are we really trying to get out of this video? What is our KPI if we want to start using, all the marketing acronyms that we possibly could throw at the wall here? But what are we really trying to achieve here? And we do that through research, through brainstorming, and then goal determination is all part of this step 3 process. I think if you know the answers to the who, what, where, when, why questions, then that's your research, right? I think you've done that. Your brainstorming comes about usually as part of that, as we're talking about each one of those pieces, and we can break that down a little bit further and maybe go through each one of those steps a little slower. And then goal determination is really like, what is the CTA and what do we want you to do out the other side? Do I want you to be more aware of the brand? Do I want you to be more of a fan of the brand? Do I want you to feel like you're one of us? Do I want you to go buy something? Do I want you to sign up or book or subscribe, or what is the thing that I'm trying to achieve out the other side that solves the problem for the viewer and for the business, right? So let's kind of slow it down. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we can totally slow it down. One thing I want to jump in there real quick before we actually dive deep into this is, you mentioned all the goals that you could set, right? Buying, you just list them. I don't need to repeat them. It surprised me when I was first starting to work with some clients that knew they wanted a video or a photo shoot, right? Some sort of coverage or content created, and they didn't necessarily even know why. Or maybe they did some consciously, but then when talking to them, they didn't have a goal already determined for them.
Couldn't really define it.
Exactly. Especially when I was in college, some of my clients, right, that were like, yeah, we want a video of this often event, and I was like, okay, and let's follow up with maybe why, right? And they were like, oh, just because, and hey, if just because is why, that's fine. But oftentimes I've found that content can very quickly become much more impactful if you have that conversation.
Right.
But yes, let's dive into this. Do you want to go through some of those steps that we talked about at the start?
Yeah, let's go through that who, what, where, when, why idea. Yeah. So last time, we might have done this in the last 2 episodes. I don't recall if we used it both times, but we had our facetious barbecue sauce company, right? And we were talking about what is the problem for them and what is maybe some of the ideation. We really got into the ideation piece, but let's just kind of use them again. I think they're just going to turn into the false company that we're doing. So I think like who, right? From if we're talking about a barbecue sauce company, we're probably talking to, the barbecue dad, right? We're probably talking to, some competition barbecue guys. Maybe we're speaking to some restaurant owners, that sort of thing. So I think you would have to determine there, like, who is it that we're really talking to, and like, why is it important who it is we're talking to is a even bigger conversation. So yeah, I mean, thoughts on that, Ryan?
Yeah, well, I think, I think that if you're talking to people that are already into barbecue, then you're talking to about a very specific audience that already kind of knows what they want in a barbecue sauce, right? Maybe you're looking for something smoky or something sweet or something that's got vinegar, right? Like those guys, especially like the competition or the restaurant barbecue guys, they're going to know exactly what they're looking for, and they want to know if your company can provide it, right? But then on the other side of that, maybe you've got some people who are just getting into barbecue. They have no idea what kind of barbecue sauce they want. And I think if you try to reach both of those parties, you're at a little bit of a predicament, because you're talking about pushing out a lot of content, because you're not only trying to get a better relationship with the people who are already invested in barbecue sauce, but also you're trying to pull in new people who are not invested in barbecue sauce at all. And I think that the way you do that is really different when you're talking about which route to take in order to get those people.
Yeah, for sure. I think too, like along with that, you're kind of talking about like an educated group and an uneducated group, right? And
right, that's a good way to put it.
The way that you're speaking to those two individuals is very different. It's the same thing like in any of the Western industry stuff that we do, right? If we're talking to somebody who rodeos full time or somebody who ranches full time, that is not the same thing as talking to the enthusiast who maybe he's a lawyer in some high rise in San Diego, right? And he's surrounded by surfing, but man, he's got a love for the West, right? That's just a very different human that we're talking to. The cowboy on the ranch is going to be way more concerned of like, if I get anywhere near that barbed wire, am I about to rip my jeans because I looked at it? And the guy from, the San Diego lawyer high-rise guy is probably more worried about like, does it look good? And does it feel good? And does it ride well, right, when I get the opportunity? And do I feel a part of the West even in my high rise in San Diego, right? So you're just the problem that you're solving for each one of those groups is so vastly different that hopefully you determine that in step 1, right? Really.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So where are we going with that piece, Ryan?
Right. So what I think is kind of, I look at it 2 ways, right? The what in this aspect is what problem you're solving, which hopefully we've already kind of talked about, but you need to keep that in mind as you're also finding out what video they're watching. So if what you're putting out is maybe 20, 15-second videos, that is going to have a much different rollout and results than a one-hour video, right? And I think that due to that, you have to have a different goal set for it. This also goes into which platform it's going to be on, but we'll talk about that later in strategy. But if what you're putting out, right, is 20, 15-second videos, I think you could probably expect more follows and likes and comments on social media. But how many people are actually going to buy and follow up your product, I think, is lowered.
Yeah.
But if you get somebody to watch a fuller, in-depth interview piece that has story, it has characters, it has actual feeling and emotion, after that, right, you people all the time talk about watching a movie that has like changed their life or transformed the way they view things, right? And I think that is when you get to some of the goals that can actually change part of your company or your organization. And this may be counter. I know a lot of people that are my age wouldn't say that likes and comments and follows are important, right? Because a lot of people do value those things. But to me, that's not actually what values the importance of a company or organization.
Yeah.
And I think what you're putting out directly affects what type of goal you can set at the end.
For sure. Yeah. I think too, like to your point, what kind of a piece are we building, the 15 or 20, 15-second pieces, or are we building an hour film? I forget what the exact statistic is, but it's like 86% of people who see it in a video that they watched completely are like 86% more likely or something like that to purchase from that. I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's interesting to think about that. So now then applying it to what kind of video that we're making, there's another what, right? As far as like what are we really delivering at the end of this thing, and what are we going to be pushing out into the world, the 20 15-second videos or the 1 hour video, right? If you get somebody to watch through a 1 hour video, they're a committed individual, right? There was something that they saw in the teaser of that. There was some entry point that got them to the point of watching this hour-long video. There was a commitment, a level of investment already there. If you're talking about 20 15-second videos, you're talking probably about the doom scrollers or somebody watching TV, right?
Right.
So you're like hitting them where they weren't expecting you in one hand, or you're hitting an audience that's already bought in to an extent. So those are two really different people that you're targeting through those two items. The other thing, or like a really good example of this that is done really, really, really well, is in the remote, like the fitness training online subscription world, where somebody's created like a course, right, that you're going to follow their fitness training. This is like classically that, right? They'll have some little snappy video on social. You click their ad, it sends you to a video that's quite frankly probably too long till they tell you what the price is. Some of those are irritating in their format, so I'm not saying that we would format it the same way, but the point is you end up watching a 25-minute long video because you identified yourself as somebody with the problem that they're claiming to solve in the first 15-second video. So how you're speaking to the person who's watching the 15-second video should be very different from your follow-up 15-minute spiel, right?
Right.
Sometimes they're not in the fitness world, and it just drives me nuts. I'm like, for the love, get to the point. But but the point of this is if I'm selling barbecue sauce, right, maybe I'm gonna, in the 15-second video, I'm gonna show like people enjoying the barbecue sauce, and like maybe we do like a spicy taste test, right? Like there's that I don't remember what the clips are called, or maybe it's a show or whatever, where you have to do like the hot sauce and it gets hotter.
Hot ones.
Yeah. Maybe you do like a hot ones kind of thing, right? As like your 15-second clips, but then like the hour-long video or 15-minute long video or whatever is like more of like a how it was created, right? Like more of a like the craft, the story behind it, the people behind it, the humans, maybe the humans that use it, right? Maybe it's a specific barbecue joint in Texas that's won 10 billion different awards, and you're telling their story, right? So I think that like that what piece, the problem, and also what are we making, really kind of are a huge piece of this goal determination process. When?
Yeah, I agree.
When are they watching it? Are you doom scrolling at 2 a.m. or are we sitting in a movie theater?
Right. Those experiences are so different.
Wildly. Yeah.
Yeah. Every now and then Lily and I will turn on a movie, and we'll watch it during dinner or after dinner, and I'll say this feels like a movie theater movie. Some movies feel like living room movies, and some movies feel like movie theater movies, and there's a difference. And when you talk about the content that you're watching at 2 a.m. doom scrolling when you know you should be in bed or asleep, that's going to be a lot different, you're right, than something that you're going to watch at a film premiere at, I don't know, in the afternoon sometime or in the evening.
Maybe you're renting a tuxedo for that thing, right? Certainly not doing that in my jammies, doom scrolling.
No. And you want the feeling, right, to hit the same. And I think, right, this is such a small detail that makes such a big difference. But the introduction, right, just the start of your project, you go see a movie and it shows the production studios and it's got the intros and it's got maybe some, I can't do the voice, but like a Morgan Freeman style, like epic trailer voice, going. And I think that type of feel really sets the tone for the whole project. And that would feel really out of place or even satirical, right, on doom scrolling content.
Yes.
And you just want to make sure that you kind of have that in mind. And it can't be perfect, right? Because if, for example, your content lives on YouTube, somebody can watch it whenever they feel like it.
Right.
And I think you could do a premiere right and then have it available to watch anytime if you're going for that. But I think you should have an ideal time that it should be viewed. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think like the when factor is not necessarily like time of day, right? When is like what type of mind frame is the person in? Like what environment are they in? How are you wanting them to get exposed to this thing, right? If it's your brand video and you're trying to sell tractors, or it's your brand video, you're trying to sell barbecue sauce or whatever the thing is, right? Think about like what device is that person likely watching that on, and then when are they doing that? Are they sitting in their office? Is this like a professional thing? It ends up part of some presentation by a lower level marketing person in a large corporation, and then they're presenting it to the VP as an idea of somebody to work with. What is the thing that, like, what is the situation that this video is going to be viewed in, so that you know when that viewer is going to do that, and you really understand the environment that they're in when they watch it. Somebody, there's one that I think is like a really great lesson in this is actually like football commercials. So like State Farm, Doritos, all of those, right? They, not even just the Super Bowl, but definitely the Super Bowl too. They run ads, but when they create an ad for an NFL game that's going to play during an NFL game or on an NFL streaming service like Fox One or something, a lot of times their ad is like football themed. Right. So they're going to have like a player in it, or they're going to use football terminology, or they'll have like a ref. Like there's some reference to football that happens in these ads. They are like a classic example of when is this person going to be watching this. It's when you're interrupting the game that I'm super invested in. And also I'm probably going to run to the next room to grab another bag of chips. Right.
Right.
So,
especially, I like how we bring that up. Right. And you talked about that in our previous episode. If I am in the next room running and grabbing a bag of chips and I hear a whistle, right, I might think the game's back on, and I run back and it's an Allstate commercial.
Yeah.
Right. But they've got my attention because you're right. They're using things that are, I guess, already fresh in my mind. Mm-hmm. Right. Especially I've noticed some commercials and companies will even do like team specific ones now.
Yes.
Like there have been, I can't even remember the company, which shows, but they've been doing college football ones, like the one from Texas, the character in this commercial, he let the bowl
Bevo.
out.
Bevo.
He let him out. And there was another one. There are a couple of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're right. It's like not only that, but now you have the fans of the game, right? It's just... you're right. It is a really good example because you're using things that are already in their mind.
We did this one time, like one specific time that I feel like really kind of stood out, and it like worked better. Like we got more feedback from the people than we normally would. So Montana Silversmiths obviously does beautiful buckles for rodeos all over the nation, right? we, because of our relationship with Pendleton Roundup and our experience at Pendleton Roundup, utilized Pendleton Roundup as sort of the first Every Buckle Has a Story from the rodeo perspective commercial, right? So this was very, I mean, you couldn't miss that this was Pendleton Roundup based. Like we pan over the buckles, the wood bucking chutes are in it, the guy calling the cattle coming out from under the stadiums in it, the green miles in it. Like you literally cannot mess up that this is a Pendleton commercial. And it played during the NFR and began playing. This was actually when ESPN was still the primary was the station for PRCA, but it played during the NFR, and it also played during the awards ceremony for the PRCA year-end awards banquet, of which Pendleton Roundup won Large Outdoor Rodeo of the Year, right? So it hit for the people who were like amped on Pendleton, right? And like the number of texts that were like, that was so awesome, to me, knowing that we had produced the commercial from people from Pendleton, but also like the other rodeos who were like, what did you know that they were going to win Outdoor Rodeo of the Year? Yes, kind of. We had a suspicion, no, but like it wasn't necessarily playing favorites because we ended up doing lots of other rodeos as well, but sort of like what, I don't even remember who it was that did the Bevo commercial. I think it was Allstate or one of those, but or maybe it was who's the Chaos guy. I don't know.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking. Yeah,
I think it might have been that one.
We can name the characters, but we can't even name the company.
Yeah.
So do these commercials.
we might need to work on that. But like I think the point is that it hit when the audience was there already in that mindset. So the when thing comes back up with, can you relate to that person when they're watching it, right? Like, does State Farm house insurance have that much to do with NFL? Not really, other than maybe you I don't know, really getting mad at the outcome of a game or something, right? or something going horribly wrong 2 seconds before your Super Bowl party, maybe. But like I can't really, like, they found a way to relate the two things and identify with the audience that was watching it when they were watching it. So enough about when.
Yeah.
Where we've kind of talked about this a little.
Right, we've gotten into it a little bit. From just I do want to just state from a pure tech standpoint, where they're watching it can, and a little bit of when, but can affect, right, whether they're wearing headphones, whether they're watching it through TV speakers or huge speakers. And you just, as an audio-oriented team, you need to be thinking about that when you're creating this project, especially if they're going to be watching it on, like, we've been talking about rodeos like a video board or like a jumbotron, right? You just have to be thinking about that. So to me, from a production standpoint, that's the first thing I think of is how they're going to actually be viewing it and listening to it. Yeah. Because that'll change. I mean, that'll change the bit rate, that'll change the frame rate, so many different things. It changes
the separation from the music bed and the voice. Like, we just dealt with one of those, right, where we were like, okay, this is technically correct, but when we're watching it the way a person's likely to watch it, we need more separation between the two, right? Yeah. So we did that. But yeah, I think where they're watching it is a huge thing. You know, jumbotrons, they're like classically not fully plugged into the full like event speaker system, right? Like, it's like what, I don't know where they put it. It's like one speaker in the middle of the arena and it sounds awful. Like, I think they picked like the worst speaker in the arena. But the other one to think about is like, okay, I think it's Star Wars maybe, or maybe it was Star Trek, one of the two that does this super well. But when you're sitting in a movie theater, right, there are ideal seats at a theater that the sound engineers for large productions are basing their sound design off of. So if there's a spaceship or something, right, coming in from the right side of the screen and it flies maybe kind of coming towards you and ends up like out the left side of the screen, right, or it barely misses you on its way out, right, the sound, like where in the theater, in that 6-point surround sound system, where in the theater the sound comes from can be a huge thing. Because it can really change your experience of like feeling in it, right? There's some social media clips that will do that where it'll say like turn your phone sideways and like the audio comes from right or left. So they try to mimic that, although obviously surround sound's not a thing on social. this is kind of a weird example, but one that I think is kind of a cool concept. So in high school, I was in an a cappella choir, chamber choir group, right, for high school. We were singing at one of our concerts. There was a song sung in, I think it was Swahili. It was some African-based language that I don't remember. I think it was Swahili. Anyway, so this song is done a cappella. It's chamber choir, right? So you've got a completely silent theater. And what we ended up doing is we shut all the lights down in the theater, right? So completely dark theater, no lights on even on stage. And we placed the chamber choir all the way around the room, right? There's some in the middle of the room. There's some on the stage. There's some up at the top. There's some in the doorway. They're everywhere, right? And pieces of the song were sung from different areas of this dark theater, right? And so you kind of got this like weird, like spatial experience where if you were sitting in that theater, even being part of the choir, right, you got this really weird, like you're completely reliant on audio because there's no visual at all happening in this room, right? So it was this really interesting experience where we did like this, I don't know, maybe 30-second portion of this song. The very first intro piece was from this sort of spread out dark room sort of situation, and then there was like everybody ends up on stage and then the full song is done, right? That experience can be applied to video audio, and where they're watching it will determine whether or not that even works, right? If you're watching it on your phone or it'll work a little bit in headphones, but not a lot. Like you could do like a car going, so right ear, both ears, left ear. You could do that pretty easy. There's some songs that will do that, but the effectiveness of that use is completely determined on where the person is watching this thing, right? So you could go a really simple version of that is, am I just going to do a stereo even ears like situation for this scenario as well, right? Which is social.
One last thing, by the way, that a cappella performance sounds awesome. One last thing I wanted to say about Win is if they're watching it with a large group of other people, or if you imagine they're watching it by themselves, or maybe with their partner or something like that, right? I think that something that can be kind of powerful is when you, I think it depends on the ad, right? But when you're directing it at the viewer, right? When the call to action, you know who does this really well is the Humane Society ads for like the stray animals and the cats and dogs. That's the one, right? When they look at you and they're like, this is on you, right? Like that doesn't work if it's a big group of people. Yeah. And if it's just maybe directed at you and I'm the only one watching, I might feel that weight, but I think that just changes your viewing experience depending upon who you're surrounded by.
Yeah, for sure. You feel singled out. You could be, you know. So who, what, where, when, why?
Why? Okay. So what I wrote down here is why they're watching this video specifically. And I think that the why can definitely be that, right? Why are they watching this? Did it get popped up before their YouTube video and it's an advertisement? Or
did I have a choice or not?
Right. Did it get sent to them by somebody, right? Is it getting shared? Or are they going out and seeking it themselves? And I think that ties back into when we talked about the problem, right? Is this a problem that they are having? Or, break the matrix here, is this a problem they didn't even know they're having, right? And I think from that point on, you can kind of decide how to progress with it. We talked about barbecue sauce earlier. If this is somebody who's looking for a new barbecue sauce and he's searching up new barbecue sauce that tastes like this, right? He knows exactly kind of what he's looking for. But, you see this in a lot of infomercials from, I might completely wrong date. I'm thinking like 80s and 90s with this, when it starts in like black and white, and it's like, do you not have enough space for all your couch cushions? You know those type of commercials
for just $9.99. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Is all your Tupperware falling out of your cabinet?
But
like
wait, if
things...
you buy in the next 13 seconds.
Yeah, stuff like that. And I think that's the approach where you're trying to find a problem that people don't specifically go out and search for, right? It's something that they didn't really even know there was a product to fix. And I think that's just that's a different experience for a viewer, rather than if they're going out and searching for a solution, rather than you're throwing a solution at them. I think that it's a different way of watching.
Yeah, for sure. I think you can maybe utilize, everybody hates the algorithm, right? But you could use the algorithm at this point, right? Where if somebody is watching a lot of cooking or especially a lot of barbecue, right? If they follow Blackstone, if they whatever, right? Then you can infer that likely barbecue sauce has been a topic of discussion for that person at some point in time, right? Maybe they're a dry rub person you really just missed on this whole thing, but you can basically play off of other accounts to infer what the person is likely going to be interested in, and or if they follow the Texas barbecue competition or whatever. You can really kind of infer whether or not that person is the right person. Collaborating with those people through these videos as well. Like, we're getting into delivery and strategy here a little too much, but thinking about that on the why perspective, like, why are they watching this video? Are they watching it because they follow the collaborator that you're working with? Are they watching it because they're a barbecue guy and they want to do better barbecues for their friends? Are they watching it to do better barbecue at competitions? Like, what is the thing? Why are they interested in that? And then like all the other pieces come to play from that perspective. Okay, so I think that piece ends up being your research, right? Through that, you would then take all those answers, the who, what, when, why, where, when, what, whatever. Who, what, when, whatever. Said it too many times, it's gone. And you would take all of that and you would now brainstorm for the topic that you're looking at, right? Based on all those answers. So you're brainstorming, maybe you're kind of brainstorming the storyboard or some like glimpses of the storyboard. Maybe you're brainstorming like where this is going to be seen. Maybe you're brainstorming about the person. You're going to talk some about that. Goal determination then, which is the result of step 3, right, is determining, okay, what am I trying to achieve? What am I trying to communicate as a brand? And have I thought through all the pieces to make the goals attainable, right? So you might, maybe on the barbecue sauce side, you're trying to hit barbecue, let's say like backyard barbecue aficionados, right? So these guys are already involved in barbecue sauce. They're actively looking at barbecue sauce, but you're like trying to like, the guy is trying to be the best barbecue guy on the block, right?
Right.
That's who I'm trying to hit, is like the dad everybody thinks is the best barbecue guy. Like really start a neighborly feud there, So
definitely.
I think like if you can determine like why is he interested in barbecue sauce, right? Maybe it's beating Steve across the street at best barbecue competition on the block. Then like why is I want to win, right? So maybe what I'm going to create in my storyboard or the strategy or how I deliver it to him or whatever is going to be very like competitive, right? Like maybe I'm showing more of a competitive barbecue guy, or I'm showing like dad who's got the best barbecue and gets like 1 billion compliments on dinner that night, right? Or whatever the thing is, right? So I think that is really how you get to goal determination is, what are all these things? What are the answers to all those things? And then like, what are we really trying to achieve out the other side? Selling barbecue sauce to barbecue dad who wants to beat Steve across the street. What's your name? Barbecue version,
I love this example so much.
P.S. We've never worked for a barbecue sauce company, so if you are a barbecue
at the end
sauce
of this,
company, consider this your game plan.
Yeah, I was going to say at the end of this series, we might as well start a barbecue sauce company,
Right.
because
Yeah.
but I agree with you, right? We have to, as a barbecue sauce company, we have to look at what we want to do at the end, and then I think using that, after doing our research, using that as kind of a way to set our goal is going to be really helpful. And one thing I meant to bring up, and you talked about Star Wars. Star Wars does a great job not only in their audio design, but being a huge, universally renowned, not just movie series, but also they have shirts, they have video games, they have books, right? All of this stuff. And if I'm trying to get a barbecue sauce company, started, and I want it to be for the best dad on the block, right? Not only do I want my barbecue sauce to look the same as it did in the commercial and stand out on the shelf, maybe our hat will also make you grill. I don't know how a hat would do that. That was a bad example.
I think it's dad jokes. Okay, I've thought about this a little too much. I think it's dad jokes, right?
So that's the key.
Yeah, I think you just like turn barbecue sauce into dad jokes. So like maybe there's one barbecue sauce that's like way off the wall, like has nothing to do with the rest of them, and it's like the redheaded stepchild, right? Like the name of the barbecue sauce for that flavor is redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
Like I think you could really like play up the like dad joke deal.
I totally. It's like, have you seen the Mandels? You know what Mandels are? They're man candles.
Oh.
They're scented like this one.
Is it
it's like
musk?
Motor oil. it's way.
I have seen ones that are like aviation fuel, like 100 low
Yeah,
lead.
yeah,
I get
exactly.
served those all the time being a pilot, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I got my dad some. It was like, I swear it was like motor oil and rusty hammer or something like that.
And it probably
right?
actually smelled like cinnamon, right?
It did. Yeah. Yeah, so you're right. Using kind of that, right? They know exactly who they're targeting, and in all honesty, they're probably a big gift company, right?
Yeah.
They probably do a lot around Christmas time, and they know that somebody like me is going to get it from my dad, and
That's
it
like
worked.
a funny haha. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Like I think you almost want like for the barbecue sauce, if you're targeting dads who are trying to have the best barbecue sauce on the block, right? If that is your target audience, I think you almost want people to roll their eyes when they read the label, right? Like you almost want all of your copy and then your video, like everything should just be like, oh my God, like stop it, Dad, you're embarrassing me, right? Like that's almost what you want for the entire brand. So like creating something that is also feels like that from a video perspective, to go back to the creative process, like that's kind of what you're trying to wrap it into.
Yeah, make it all feel the same.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, I think unless you have anything else to add, I think that is part 3 of the creative process, goal determination. Who, what, when, where, why. Look, I said it. And I think that would put us at the end of part 3. Part 4, strategy, will be in January, February, March, April, end of April. It'll be the last episode in April. So make sure that you're watching this as part of a series. January, last episode of the month. February, last episode of the month. March, last episode of the month, and so on. So we will see you in this series next month.
See you soon.